and I'm so excited to have this video made for you guys. This is going to be my first of many themed Q&A videos that I set up for my patrons, and then later on I will have out onto my YouTube. So for my first themed Q&A, it's going to be art related. So I left this pretty open for all my patrons to ask anything to do with me as an artist. So I have my wonderful boyfriend Diesel, he's filming, he's editing my videos, and he's going to be asking my patrons questions to me, and then I will answer them. So, take it away.
Atlas Fox 99 asks, are you a fan of more traditional or digital art?
Well, as a traditional artist myself, I would have to say that in a broad sense, I am more attracted to traditional art. I value it a lot more because I know what goes into it in terms of materials and time and spilling coffee on it, having to start over. I like commissioning other artists or buying traditional art. I like the real authentic thing to actually physically own. But that being said, I love digital art, like that it's so clean. You can get colors that are just vastly different than what I can get with my pencil crayons. So if I had to choose, I would say traditional, but I definitely have an interest for both.
Air Guitar, who has many questions, one of them is, what are your favorite mediums to use and the ones you would like to try, like digital art?
Thank you so much, Air. Air is a good friend of mine and another artist that I admire. So I primarily use Prismacolor pencil crayons. This is my basket right here. So for most of my commissions, it's colored pencils for the most part. I do use either regular pencils and Conte on my pet portraits that you guys see time to time. Now for other mediums, I used to be an acrylic paint artist, but I rarely do that anymore. I think that if I was going to get into a different medium, it's kind of nice that Air asked me this because she works with markers. And I think that markers would be a cool way to color my work. So I think that if I was going to do one, it would be markers.
Question from Soba. I'm curious about your toning technique, as it has a very distinctive look. How do you do it?
Furry magic. No, I'm kidding. With my tones, with my shading, the big secret is layers, I would have to say. So whether it's, I'll say with pencil crayons to be specific, and I do plan on showing these in videos later, a little bit of how-to on how I work. But I will start with a base layer. So let's say if the character has green, I'll start with a base layer, color green, something lighter. Then I will build up the shading. So if there's dark on one side, light on the other, I'll build that up. And then I usually always add at least a second color, sometimes 3. And that will help to make the colors look more rich on my white paper. It will help to hide any of the white behind it. And then I usually will add a separate color that I might mention, maybe, but for now I'm keeping it a secret, to really bring out my shadow. So it's all about layers when it comes to my toning.
Back to Air Guitar for another question. Do you have any formal training?
I do. Right out of high school, I went to community college to get, at first initially was to take animation, but when I started with traditional art in my first year, I ended up loving it much more. So I do have a college degree in fine arts, or art fundamentals more specifically. But then after that, I went to University of Ottawa, and from there I have my Bachelor in Fine Arts. So I do have 2 degrees for my art.
Alrighty, question from Fenris Wolf. Do you ever encounter artist block, and if so, how do you usually get around it? Any tips for other aspiring artists in the fandom?
Ooh, lately, probably in the past couple of years, when I really started bringing in more commission work, specifically with furry art, it's rare for me to get artist block because most of the art that I do is for you guys. It's for, whether it's for patrons, trades, or for commissions. So it's when people are giving me their ideas, I'm just relaying those ideas. So it's rare for me to get artist block now because most of the time I'm doing work for other people. However, I used to, for sure. So when I get stuck and I don't know what to draw, I usually will watch movies or I will listen to music that I love for inspiration. Visual images might come to mind, whether it's based off of a mood or images in a cartoon or something. So usually I will go to movies and music for inspiration. I would recommend that to other artists. If you get stuck, listen to something, watch something new. Yeah, I would recommend that.
Well, that answers one of Air Guitar's other questions, which was, do you listen to music while you draw? So
Yes, Air, I definitely do. I posted a little while ago on my Instagram that I've been recently listening to lo-fi music, which is all instrumental. It's very like music that you would hear in a cafe, just kind of light beats to listen to while you're studying or whatever. I will zone out to that type of music. So that's what I've been listening to lately, yeah.
How about one more Air question here while we're on the topic? Do you do anything other than furry art?
Yes. Pet portraits is another big one for me. So those are all my black and white on gray toned paper. I do those quite often as well. Sometimes I'll just do art for myself. So it could be fantasy, like right now I have Godzilla themed stuff coming up. Furry art is pretty predominant, but yeah, sometimes I do other stuff.
Alrighty, we've got a question from Eddie Santiago. What was it that got you into drawing anthropomorphic pieces in the first place?
Okay, so this really started back when I was in college. Now this is actually long before I would consider myself a furry, even before I even really knew what the furry fandom was. In life drawing, human heads sucked. They were really hard to draw, but bodies, hands and feet, I had a great knack for. So what I started doing is if I couldn't get their faces right, I would put animal faces, kind of like a werewolf kind of thing to kind of, cheat with my homework. So that's kind of where I first started drawing most of my anthropomorphic characters, was back in college, cheating my way through life drawing. Sorry guys.
Back to air guitar for a question. Who's your influences in the fandom?
Oh, so many. Some of the big ones that would come to mind. Wildering, their art, digital work is absolutely beautiful. Their anatomy, their expressions, their emotion is really great. I'm a big fan of theirs. EC Major, she's a wonderful artist, traditional, most primarily. Again, her anatomy is gorgeous. I love her work. Oh my God, so many. Yeah, I'll stick with those two for now. I'd like to do a video in the future of favorite artists, but yeah, for those two right now come to mind.
All right, we'll go to a question from Dominic Lewis. Was there ever an obstacle in your way of doing art, and was there a person or people that were not supportive to you?
Ooh, okay, good question. When I was younger, most of the art that I did for me usually was a little bit darker. I listened to a lot of heavy metal as a teen, so a lot of my stuff was a little bit dark, a little bit violent, a lot of monsters, teeth, and blood. So when I went into college and university, I had a lot of professors that would look at that kind of art and they would go, all right, we see that you have talent, but we really don't care for what you're doing. Like, you're doing fantasy monsters and creatures and characters. Like, you'd be great for doing, art for a movie or something like that, but we don't teach that here. A lot of them tried to actually stop me from doing that kind of art, even at home for fun. They were like, no, you should stop doing that. But it turns out that they couldn't have been more wrong. My first big painting that I sold was one of these fantasy pieces that my professors told me not to do. And now look at me, this is my second career that I'm building on this. So yes, I have had some people that didn't like my art, didn't get it, and thought that it wouldn't go anywhere. But look at me now. Yeah.
Want to do one more from air guitar?
Yes, hit me, Air. Thank you so much for all the questions, girl.
How about what cartoon shows or movies inspired you to draw?
Ooh, again, so many. Some of the biggest ones that will kind of push me to draw a lot of fantasy movies like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, King Kong, again Godzilla, because there's so many great different creatures and anatomy and lighting. I'm a big fan of lighting and shadows and whatnot. So watching those types of movies really inspired me to draw from that. Like I own a lot of the art of certain movies like King Kong and Lord of the Rings. So if I ever kind of get stuck or need inspiration and ideas on how to make a pose interesting, how to make light dynamic, I'll go to those types of movies and those types of books. All right, so is that it? That's it. Okay, so thank you so much, Diesel, for asking me those wonderful questions. And guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to send me those questions. Really thoughtful questions. It was really good and a lot of fun. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and we will be doing more. There will be one every month, different themes coming up. And if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, by all means, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. And if you want your specific questions answered, you can feel free to join my Patreon. The lowest tier gets you in. And yeah, so I can't wait to see where we go from here. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.